Welcome, my 200 subscribers, everyone on Impact Reddit, every Impact fan who thinks allies are better than enemies against the biggest company in the world, and Impact fans who think Josh Alexander's a main eventer because he's the man. You can build a company around him. And if you think otherwise, if you're like a YouTuber who does nostalgia Impact stuff, that one specific guy, even if you have really entertaining videos, F off because you're wrong. And you should not bring back the six-sided ring. Just stop it. Just cut this shit. Welcome to my review of Impact Wrestling Bound for Glory 2022, set on October the 7th. Let's begin. Okay, so before I start the review, I was gonna make a review for Impact Emergence, or I was gonna release it, but it was like halfway done, didn't have the time to finish it, was a bit busy out in the community. And when I was somewhat almost done with it, it was 2 weeks out of the show. And it was probably out of people's minds by then. But if any Impact fans want me to release that one, just message down in the comments. And I'll try. But yeah, I thought that was a really good show. Main event was a banger, but I think I enjoyed Jack Evans versus Mike Bailey more, as well as Sami Callihan against Steve Maclin. And I actually started watching Impact pay-per-views because of Ric Flair's last match. The Impact guys there really impressed me, especially Josh Alexander, and I think having Jacob Fatu in the ring helped. But I was impressed enough with Alexander to want to see more of him and the rest of Impact. And so Impact Emergence happened. I really like that show as well, but not as much as I expected. I think the world title picture needs more main event level dudes who are capable of bangers. Maybe bring in some of the MLW guys, like Hammerstone, and definitely Jacob Fatu. I think those are the types of dudes you need to move Impact to another level. Because you already have the best women's division in the world, excluding all women's companies. That X division is loaded as well. Tag team division I think could use a little bit of work. And the main event division, if you just add some more guys, specifically the ones I mentioned, build up Joe Hendry, and when you get Joe Doring back, I think you could have a pretty capable main event. This is without watching the Eddie Edwards Josh Alexander match. It could change my mind, but we'll see. So the show opens with Mike Bailey versus Frankie Kazarian. Okay, so this match was a fast-paced show stealer where Mike Bailey does his cool stuff, so does Frankie, but Mike Bailey is just on another level. But as Mike Bailey is doing all of this cool shit, Frankie Kazarian just wears him down with a cross-faced chicken wing for the whole match. We have some nice escape attempts by Bailey, one especially which is genius, and also some pump fakes. Mike Bailey does some pump fakes that lead to bigger moves, as well as some unique offense from Mike Bailey. So this dude is currently my favorite Impact wrestler so far. I've watched him since that pay-per-view where he won the title at Emergence, which I think might be his best match that I watched, and I watched 3 of them, including this one. His match against Jack Evans was just something else. This one isn't as good. He does a cringy spot, which I really hate. It's this rapid kicks that Naomi from WWE does, and it's just the worst spot ever because there is no way you're doing any damage without proper wind up on kicks. This rapid kick thing here is just stupid BS that shouldn't be in wrestling or in anywhere. But yeah, as for the unique offense that I didn't hate, I love the Ultimate Weapon by Mike Bailey. It's such a cool finisher. The only person that does something like this is Keno from Pro Wrestling Noah. It's his ultimate finisher, but his is a moonsault. I also liked Mike Bailey's moonsault after he avoids a baseball slide. When Kaz's feet hit the ground outside, Mike Bailey's already on that moonsault. And as for Kaz's moves, to be fair, we have a slingshot cutter that's a bit hokey, and the flux capacitor, which is a lot better. So yeah, this match was really fucking good, but I have a small nitpick about the number of shoulder ups that both of these guys do. Like, mix it up a bit. Like, alternate between shoulder ups, kick outs, rope breaks, or like legs on ropes and stuff, pin conversions, turn it into a submission or something. Because it just got a bit repetitive. And Mike Bailey's shoulder ups don't look very impactful. Like, make it look like a struggle when you do this. Just vary up the pinning. Like, make it look like more of a struggle and more dramatic. And so the finish is a cutter. Like, Mike Bailey attempts another Ultimate Weapon. He gets cuttered. It's basically the Evan Bourne RKO spot. And then when Kaz goes for the pin, Mike Bailey shoulder ups very, like, unimpactfully. And then he goes straight for a chicken wing for the submission win. Frankie fucking Kazarian wins, but you know what? I don't like this shit. Frankie Kazarian is an aging AEW guy. Like, he's just like a loney. And yeah, you should have like another young dude who is like up and coming, or maybe is at the same level Mike Bailey is, but is like less over. Because for me, honestly, Mike Bailey has exceeded his X Division champion role. I think he should like move up to heavyweight or something. And you should have like his replacement beat and win it from him. Because I don't know about Kaz, he's like 46. And I know he can still go, but is it really a good decision for your company to like have one of your top guys, one of your future top guys, lose to this? Like, I know he's like an Impact legend, but really, I mean, come on. He should be beating Frankie Kazarian. And if you really want Kaz to be champ, have him beat the next guy, because it will be like less of an achievement than beating Mike Bailey. Someone needs to get the rub from beating this like future pillar of the company. But yeah, aside from that, top 3 spots of the match. Number 3 is the Mind Games, and then the outside dive by Mike Bailey. Number 2 is the sacrificial dive to the outside, while Kaz has Bailey in a chicken wing. And then the number 1 spot is the Ultimate Weapon. This move just gets me every time. I don't think anyone should kick out of this. Especially not Kaz, who's like a lower undercard dude somewhere else. It's like Satoshi Kojima winning the Noah Championship. But it's just better here because Kaz didn't win the Impact Championship here. So that's why this is like more tolerable. But yeah, aside from that, really good match. TV main event, pay-per-view undercard match. We'll see how Kaz holds the title. Okay, so for the next match, it's Mickie James in her last rodeo against Mia Yim. Okay, so Mickie James' thing right now is she goes against all the women, every woman in the Impact Knockouts division, which is the best women's division in the world right now, excluding all-woman companies like Stardom, TJPW. I keep saying this and everything, but yeah. Mickie James is wrestling every woman in the division until she loses, and then that's when she will retire. I think this is a fucking awesome idea. It makes every one of Mickie James's matches just like high stakes. And eventually when she faces off against Jordynne Grace and gets destroyed, or who knows, maybe she becomes champion, has one final run and then loses it back to Jordynne Grace, because I don't know who else deserves to win it. Jordynne Grace is like one of the best female wrestlers right now. Like, I know you guys hate her for trashing on Chris Benoit, but the man murdered his fucking family. The man is in one place. And if she was in the fucking WWE, you all would be cheering her. And come on, this is just like some fucking bias right here. I just started talking about Jordynne Grace and this isn't even her match. So yeah, back to Mickie James versus Mia Yim. And I love Impact for this, because this is the only place where basically a legendary women's wrestler these days can be allowed to like shine this much. To have like a full run with a storyline that's very compelling. So yeah, again, if you didn't know, I fucking love this like whole concept right here. So for the match itself, I think they accomplished something that most AEW women's matches don't, especially the 1v1s, but they do so in the multi-mans. It's that the women go for a fast-paced match, like right away. They do this to get the crowd in the match, and they don't like plot at the start. Whoever's idea is that is just like, I don't know, just like fire the dude or the road agent who like sets up the AEW singles women's matches. Because it happens every week. The crowd is dead silent at the start and they need to gain the crowd. Like the women there are already fighting an uphill battle to gain the interest of the crowd, but they do it wearing weighted clothing. They just make shit harder for themselves. They do storyteller matches when the crowd doesn't care. I say every week that you should go for a show stealer because it's that bad. The crowd turn off that fast in those matches that they're not allowed to be like this. To be just like a fast-paced regular match. And in Impact, I think the crowd is conditioned to cheer. There is no stigma and they expect a good match, a good fun match right away from the start. Like they compel me with the opening lockups and just like the in-ring charisma that they have, especially Mickie James. I love when wrestlers start like talking out loud during matches. But talking out loud that's in on the kayfabe and not like just talking to the fans randomly. So the story of the match kicks in after the lockups. Mickie James goes for like a Dudley dog, a Stratusfaction or something, but she lands awkwardly on her left leg and then she starts selling, in which after, Mia Yim just goes for the fucking leg. And a bit of a side note for a bit, this fucking Impact crowd is a bit annoying because they keep chanting "Fight Forever" and that's like a chant that's it's like done. No one chants that shit anymore, or they don't in AEW. I don't know in the WWE. Haven't watched the product in a while, but yeah, who the fuck chants "Fight Forever"? I know that's the title of the AEW game, but no one actually chants that shit anymore. And I don't like how like just a couple of dudes chant it. Like at least like whole crowd participate in the shit. Your fans like have fun being in the crowd and not just sit and watch. Come on. What are you guys even doing? This isn't a fucking Japanese crowd who just like clap their hands and stuff. I like the women's wrestling chant though. I haven't heard that in a long time, but it's probably because of the women's matches I watch. It's either in Japan or in AW. So shit. But yeah, selling here is very consistent. But Mickie James's facial expressions look a little bit off because it just looks like she's smiling all of the time. They don't go for anything spectacular. It's a nice, fundamentally sound match. But top spot, I think there's only just one, and it's when Mickie James went for a kiss. This distracted Mia Yim. Mickie James then did a dive, the same thing that Rey Mysterio does after he does a 619, whatever you call that shit. That's top spot because it just calls back to WrestleMania 21. I mean, I know it's not like grabbing what's down there, but it's something Mickie Jamesy. And then they do the "I'm sorry, I love you" spot. Mia Yim telegraphs this as if she was gonna be the one to retire fucking Mickie James. And as if Mickie James isn't gonna win a championship first before she retires. But yeah, they do this spot. Mia Yim hits the Eat Defeat, which is a terrible finisher. I never liked this since ever. Do a better finisher. Come on. Eat Defeat is you're taking the bump. How the fuck is that good for your body? And it doesn't even look good. It's terrible. It's not a code breaker. It's a fucking Eat Defeat. But yeah, she hits one. Mickie James kicks out. She tries to hit another. There's a bit of a struggle. And then somehow Mickie James hits the Mick DT for the win. This match is TV main event level. I don't know if this should be on a pay-per-view. Nothing really spectacular happens. But if ever, it's like pre-show quality or opener quality. It's been a long time since I've given that score, but yeah, that's what this is. It had the build and it was epic enough to be a main event of something, but not really pay per view worthy. I mean, it's better than what Dynamite throws out in like the women's singles matches department, but it's just not like at a level of emotion, of like move gravity or like quality that is warranted to be on a pay per view. They tried with the I'm sorry, I love you spot, but it just didn't hit. Mia Yim's delivery of the line was meh. And Eat Defeat is just a fucking terrible move with a terrible name. So yeah. And so after this, we have Vexed versus the Death Dolls for the Impact Knockouts Tag Team Championships. The match is a standard tag team match that goes on for about 7 to 8 minutes. A bit too short for my liking, but it feels like they wrestled a full match with a complete story despite the limitations in time. What I don't like though is that Chelsea Green and Deonna Purrazzo barely get a chance to showcase what they can do. They do minimal shit here. And most of the spotlight was aimed at the Death Dolls with Taya Valkyrie and I forgot her name, Jessica something. But yeah, they add in some cool shit like a double suplex attempt on Taya when her tag isn't seen due to a distraction by the heels to the ref, but she manages to suplex both of the heels. This was a really cool spot and might be my top spot of the match. I like the in-ring charisma on display. I love the trash talking, and it's like so audible from the broadcast that it helps build the story of the match. I say this like in the Dynamite Tag Team match that happens on October the 12th. And yeah, I mean, this really helps, and it's more prominent in Impact because the voices are actually audible while the match is happening in the ring. So yeah, I want to see more like storylines like this or more companies that do this. And as for the competitors of the match, I know the members of Vexed are really good, but they don't show it here. They like do some basic cutting the ring in half heel shit and then not anything much. They don't do like Deonna Purrazzo's finisher or whatever Chelsea Green can do because I haven't seen her since the first All In. And so yeah, they just wrestled heel. Jessica from the Death Dolls is a bit immobile, but she wrestles her style and her size very well. There's only one thing that I really hate about her. It's the thing where she does like the hand gestures, she makes that stupid face, and then she yells out the name of the move and then proceeds to do the move. That's like the worst part about this wrestler. And she spams this a lot too. She does this on multiple moves. And of course, thank God for Taya Valkyrie. She was like the best part of the match. She did the coolest shit, and she did them very well. She did a rope-hung German suplex with adequate speed and like a double suplex on both of the heels. So yeah, best performer of the match, Taya Valkyrie. And then as for Rosemary, who's their manager for this match, she's the usual member of the team who goes for the titles. She does some great work at ringside. Like, she yells at her girls. I mean, it suits her character being this like punk goth chick. And yeah, I mean, Rosemary was a pretty good element in the match. I love how she like cheered her girls on. And like she yelled this out so much. It suits her character for being this like punk rock goth chick. And she's just very intense in her managerial role. And I look forward to see her actually like wrestle in the ring, and with Impact's mic'd ring, I want to see her wrestle while doing that trash talking. So this was all well and good. The match was alright, but that finish was shit. I mean, it was a fucking terrible finish. I mean, the Samoan driver is a cool move on its own, but like just adding a kick to the back before you do the move, it's a lazily thought up finisher. At least think of something cooler like a double splash or like just another thing. Any other thing would be better than this shit. And yeah, so Death Dolls hit one of the heels, I forgot who, with this terrible Samoan driver with a kick at the back before she does the move, and they win. And yeah, I like the winners. Death Dolls showed more here. And I think Chelsea Green and Diana Perazzo should be in the singles division. And yeah, as for the score of the match, I think it's a TV undercard only. I mean, that's like a pretty low score for me, but they just don't do a lot, especially the heels. Taya does like two things, and I hated Jessica yelling out the name of the move multiple times. Okay, so after this is the Kingdom versus the Motor City Machine Guns. And before I start talking about the match, I just like to say sorry as an AEW fan that fucking Tony Khan just swooped up Matt Taven and Mike Bennett. And AEW doesn't even need them. Private Party are making a resurgence. So are the Butcher and the Blade, and we have the Varsity Athletes and this new Pillman Jr. and Brock Anderson faction. So why sign Taven and Bennett? Where they're like a lot more important to the growth of Impact Wrestling. They're the tag team champions that make it out of the match. And I criticized Impact for the booking of this in a previous edit. That was before we got the Rampage spoilers. But now I kind of get why they had the Kingdom win here. And it's because AEW is going to let them work for you. Contract is going to be non-exclusive. So it's a way to feature your tag team champions in a bigger show that won't keep them from working with you. And I didn't understand the rumors before that WWE were interested in signing Matt Taven because he doesn't really fit the company. He's a bit on the old side. And what the hell is he going to do there? As well as Mike Bennett, who poisoned his relationship with that company. And then people actually said that he was there to lose. My guy, WWE has so many people who can lose. They don't need the Kingdom for that. I think the Kingdom should have re-signed with Impact. I know they're from Ring of Honor. Basically, they got what they want as the Honor No More faction. It's like the elves going back to Valinor. They're going back to Ring of Honor. But AEW Ring of Honor doesn't need you right now. And having them on the roster doesn't help or hurt AEW. They're much better off at Impact, where they can help build the company. In AEW, they're just gonna get like fucking lost in the shuffle. I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's true. There's so many resurgent teams, and there's no ROH TV deal yet. You could have at least signed them after the TV deal was set. So Impact just lost the Good Brothers and the Kingdom. Hopefully Kingdom get to work on Impact, since they'll probably just face FTR once, and then we're going to be doing a lot of waiting until the start of the TV deal. But yeah, that's the situation right now, and I'm sorry, Impact fans. This has to be a shitty situation for all of you. You have people making fun of you in like comment sections, on Twitter, in posts that praise your women's division, and then you lose two top tag teams. But yeah, I guess the point of Honor No More is to go back to Ring of Honor, so I guess they got what they want. Hopefully they don't regret it, and hopefully AEW doesn't regret it, so yeah. But for the actual match itself, so this is a tag team match that is the complete opposite of the ones in Noah. Because we get a lot of tag team moves from the start of the match and not just like individuals wrestling two singles matches. And the Kingdom do some basic bitch ones. But Motor City Machine Guns do some pretty unique low impact moves. We also get a double wristwatch that made me wet. This is by Alex Shelley to both members of the Kingdom. So as for Mike Bennett slash Kanellis, I've had a bad impression of him since his time in the WWE, especially when he re-signed for like long term, but then he like complained about it, he forced his way out, and that just gave me a pretty bad impression of him. But he did good here. I like his like forearm strike slash elbow strike. They look the same little bit, but this is followed by a botch by Matt Taven, and this one's really bad. Credit to the Impact camera crew since they managed to hide it a bit, but it's when he goes for this like through the ropes outside dropkick where he like hangs on, but he doesn't shoot outside the ropes. He gets stuck and he looks a bit dumb doing it. And yeah, this is what worries me in AEW. And again, Impact does a good job at concealing this. The man shouldn't be doing those anyway since he's so tall. But yeah, Chris Sabin gets tagged in. He comes in like a house of fire, and then he does rapid succession, German suplex, crossbody, tornado DDT, and then I don't know if the Kingdom are supposed to be this bumbling comedy team, but they seem to like beating the shit out of each other. We get a lot of miscommunication spots. It's funny, but these are your tag team champions. There's just too many accident spots, and this just got ridiculous. And then we have an awesome spot again by the Guns. It's when Alex Shelley does a dive, it's dodged, and then a rapid response, not even giving his opponent enough time to recover. After dodging like a high impact move, Sabin delivers a baseball slide, and then they do the thing where Sabin jumps through Alex Shelley's legs. And then there's another awesome spot. Machine Guns are just on fire this match. The Guns put Taven on Bennett's shoulders, and then Alex Shelley goes for an STO while Chris Sabin drop kicks Taven on the back. And then we have the best near fall of the night. And then things just keep increasing gear. The Kingdom do a little bit of offense. They almost get like a near fall from a spike pile driver. But they're outshined, like on all levels by the Guns. They even do this like page turner, this like double page turner. And yeah, this is the best Guns performance I've seen in my like short exposure of them. If AEW had to pick anyone up, even if like they didn't want to, gun to their head, it should have been the Guns. Ring of Honor legends, friends with almost everyone in the company. The Guns could have helped, even in like the locker room level. But yeah, Impact got to keep the better team. And then as for the finish, we get some distraction spots by Maria. She also does some interferences herself, like pinning people down. The Kingdom don't take advantage of this though. Taven gets set up in a Chiovo position, and then Guns do like a high speed combination of a drop kick to Taven, an assisted belly to belly, and then a drop kick by Sabin for good measure. And Maria even gets super kicked. Nothing went right for the Kingdom. The finish is a fucking roll up, and Kingdom defends. This has to be the stupidest booking decision ever, since fucking Kingdom were gonna leave anyway. Like, why not have them lose it on a pay-per-view rather than giving them a win on pay-per-view and maybe not ever getting them back? The stuff leading up to the ending was awesome, but the wrong team won. So yeah, as for the spots of the match, so number 3 is the double page turner. No one really does this, and it looks pretty devastating. It could be a finisher. Number 2 is the rapid response baseball slide by Sabin after like a blocked outside dive by Shelley. And then they top it off with the jumping through Alex Shelley's legs. Nice number 2 spot. And then for the number 1 spot of the match, it's the double STO, where one guy is put on another guy's shoulders and then you STO both of them. So yeah, this match is TV main event, pay-per-view undercard match. Great match, but booking decision here was so dumb. because knowing what happens after, they just had Kingdom drop the belts in like a normal Impact taping. You guys knew that they weren't gonna resign, but you still had them beat your best tag team anyway in a pay per view in Bound for Glory. Such dumb booking. And what the fuck is wrong with the Machine Guns? Again, they're your best team in the entire roster. Why not have them be champs? Instead, Heath and Rhino have the titles. That would have been awesome 6 years ago. And I'm just gonna end it with that. They were big 6 years ago, but Impact is trying to like copy the WWE. Put the belts on WWE guys just like some other dude running a wrestling company. So yeah, let's just move on to the next match, which is the Call Your Shot Gauntlet intergender, like sort of battle royal sort of thing, where you can pin an opponent aside from throwing him or her outside the ring. And yeah, women are in the match and interact with the men. So this is the most controversial match of the entire show because of the booking. But for me, I don't like this match because of the match itself. I mean, in the WWE, they have some silly shit to make battle royals, Royal Rumbles entertaining. In AEW, they have some awesome spots. They have some nice encounters in the ring, some storyline building actually in the battle royals. But here it's just a lot of like generic battle royal bullshit. I mean, there are some bright spots like Joe Hendry, or like a double fall away slam by Joe Hendry. And how I miss Joe Hendry, because this guy carried a wrestling company run by Marks on his back. And if you don't know this, he was in WCPW, which is now Defy Pro Wrestling, and it hasn't reached the heights that its predecessor did. And WCPW was actually watchable. It was a real good indie. And plus they had What Culture backing them up. Had the What Culture guys join the storylines. And I think Joe Hendry was the main draw. Yes, he had like bad moves then. He wasn't as smooth as he is now. But still, he was very entertaining. And now he's a complete package. Now he can fucking work as well as he can sing and talk. He didn't look the strongest here or in the rest of the match. You had the Impact regulars kick his ass. But this is Joe Hendry. He's the full package. Impact should give this guy a run. They should push the shit out of him because this guy has the sort of personality you need to get fans to watch the show. Because just like in his theme song, Joe Hendry makes things better. He can wrestle, he can sing. Joe Hendry makes things better for Impact Pro Wrestling. So yeah, in other words, I'm a fan of Joe Hendry. But unfortunately, he gets his ass kicked. And all of the shit they do are like pretty boring. This was a pretty boring Rumble match because they all went for just basic shit. Nothing spectacular happens. Like, there's no awesome spots like in AEW, or there's no like crazy ways to survive elimination just like in the Royal Rumble. The best spot might be the double fallaway slam by Joe Hendry. And I'm okay with Rumbles. Like, I don't hate Rumbles like some people do, but in this one, it's like they're just collecting a paycheck, and yeah, they put minimal effort in this one. And why make it intergender if the women are limited to who they can eliminate? Like, usually they only eliminate the small guys. They're pretty much jobbers to everyone else. And you don't even have like top women here. You're just making them look bad. And there's this one named Steels who does a full dance. She does her like full dance routine before making her entrance. Just like when Jeff Hardy did a dance before he saved Matt. It kind of felt like all the proper Impact wrestlers entered first and then were eliminated by the new signings, former WWE guys, and ECW legends. The last entrant is Matt Cardona, who I think should have won the match, or Steve Macklin, or Joe Hendry, or Moose. But instead, Bully Ray won, which is the most controversial thing to happen in the show. But I'm kind of okay with this, because he's like a former Impact champion. He was their top guy at one point. And he actually does some nice spots in the match. He made it entertaining. He got that crowd loud. So yeah, I'm okay with Bully Ray as long as he doesn't beat Josh Alexander. So the final four are Rich Swann, Bully Ray, Steve Macklin, and Bobby Fish, who yeah wasn't signed back to the WWE. Instead, he's in Impact, regretting why he tried to sabotage shit. So Rich Swann gets eliminated first. He does like a Paul London flip, but it isn't as showy as the one that Paul London did. Steve Macklin eliminates Fish, but after a fight, he's Bubba bombed by Bully Ray, and Bully wins. I mean, it's alright as long as he doesn't beat Josh Alexander. And yeah, this match, despite being a Royal Rumble type, has to be like TV undercard. It wasn't a remarkable Rumble. You gotta bring your A game to these things, and they just coasted and collected a paycheck. So yeah. So after this is the Eddie Edwards segment with his family. His kids can't act at all, and his daughter, when saying this line, laughed while she said it. It was pretty bad, and I think Dominic Mysterio, as a child, was special. That kid could act. But I get the intention. It just was not executed well. So after this is Jordynne Grace versus Masha Slamovich. And this was my most anticipated match of the night. Because Grace was just awesome in Ric Flair's last match. I think that could have been match of the night. And Masha Slamovich is like so hyped. She's undefeated. This is a rock and a hard place. And yeah, aside from this, I think Jordynne Grace is the best women's wrestler right now who's not in Japan. And I know she pissed off like fans of Chris Benoit because of the comments she made. But real talk, he's a piece of shit who let down all of his fans by killing his wife and child. And I know all of you fucking man-children there are still trying to deny the truth. Are still making it out to be that he was murdered by Kevin Sullivan. I see it in the comments section all the time. Why are people like this? Why are people so fucking dumb? Just because he was a good wrestler doesn't mean he was a good human being. And having mental issues, having like neurologic problems, doesn't excuse murder. So yeah, all of you, go fuck yourselves, cut the shit. Even if it's 100% true that he will be able to keep up with the wrestlers today and even exceed them, he still killed his wife and child, and they had no choice in the matter. Just like what Paul Heyman said. And since most of you are WWE cocksuckers, that's someone who you listen to instead of anyone else. So yeah. So again, Jordynne Grace is part of the four horsewomen in like American wrestling. It's her, it's Tessa, it's Charlotte, and it's Sasha Banks. And if it's outside the WWE, it's Jordynne Grace, it's Athena, it's Tessa, and Britt Baker. But if you include the ones in Japan, their four horsewomen are better than the American four horsewomen. It's like a dude. And she's jacked. The way she moves and the way she sells is nothing like any other women in the fucking business. Like, if I was Tony Khan, I would fucking spend my money to build up Jordynne Grace as the face of your women's division, instead of Jade Cargill, who's an unfinished product, who's reliant on her push too much. Jordynne can wrestle, she can cut a promo, and she has the look to even go head-to-head against some of the AEW men, or the Impact men. So yeah, the start of the match was awesome. They go at each other right away, and I don't know if this was the ring or anything, but another dropkick through the ropes is spoiled, like the same way that Matt Taven was. But Jordynne Grace manages to like follow through even if this happens. She manages to hit Masha with like one leg. So Grace dominates the undefeated Slamovich and actually makes her look like the underdog. Imagine that, undefeated, and you're being toyed around by the champ. Way to make your champ look strong, unlike what AEW does with Toni Storm or fucking Thunder Rosa. But then Slamovich gains control with one of the top spots of the match, which is a dude buster on the apron And it's a killing move. This is a finisher level move. And what a devastating attack that is not followed up right away. Of course, the match has to be longer. But yeah, Jordynne Grace did not get up right away from this one. And then we get like back and forth, no wasted motion, action, just like fighting. There's like not much rest holds, but there are struggle holds, like tests of strength. And then like they have a chop fight, but problem with the chops is that they don't put some body into it. They just like use the arms, so they don't sound that impactful. And the strike battle ends with a double spinning back fist that takes them both down. And I don't know if the crowd is not well mic'd up, but the crowd is silent for this. I couldn't hear the cheering. If this was anywhere else, this would like get cheers. The crowd would erupt. There is a superplex jackhammer here. It's like what Seth Rollins does. Starts off with a superplex and then jackhammer while on the floor. And the story that I gathered from the match is that Masha is good, but Grace is just like so much better. She can take so much more offense and she's just like superior. And that's what Masha has to work on for the next encounter because of course Jordynne Grace wins. Like again, tests of strength. Masha tries to carry Jordynne Grace to like get her off the floor, but then Grace turns it into a Grace driver and then a near fall 1-2. And shit, I love Masha's offense. She uses her environment to like modify her attacks. Like she does an air raid crash, but she does it on the turnbuckle. Like running from the middle of the ring to the turnbuckle. This is followed by a snowplow, which is a brainbuster. Masha goes for the pin after her finisher, and Grace doesn't move, she doesn't kick out, but she gets her leg under the rope, and what a way to make Masha look strong. Because if this just happened in the middle of the ring, Grace was done. She couldn't even like lift her leg to put on the rope, like what usually happens. Like this shit here doesn't happen. And I love like the genius of this spot. More wrestlers should do this. Instead of the usual like Mike Bailey shoulder up or like having the leg on the rope, like have the leg just below the rope because it's more impactful. It's like a more desperate pin escape. So Masha tries to do a snowplow from the top turnbuckle. It's an avalanche snowplow. But Grace counters and then she does an avalanche Grace driver for the win. Best match of the night so far. This might be the best women's match I've seen that week. So yeah, pay-per-view main event quality. I can't wait for the rematch. Fucking Jordynne Grace and Masha Slamovich. If only more people would watch Impact, they would fucking appreciate this women's division. Because from what I'm seeing on social media, and I've said this a lot, like there's this one guy who's just shitting all over Impact just because he thinks the wrestlers aren't famous enough. What the fuck are you doing? Do you even watch for the wrestling or just for the bodies? Or like for the fucking people? Are you fucking kidding me? Impact needs more eyes on it. And it's a fucking crime that there's not. That they're just being disregarded because they're not the WWE. While in AEW, everyone knows the women's division is meh. Is not there yet. I would kill to have this women's division or just Jordynne Grace in AEW. But it's Impact's thing. We'll see what they can do with it. Hopefully they bring new viewers. Or like more viewers, but I think there's this like stigma that won't go away that easy for Impact. So yeah, for the top 3 spots of the match, we have a Vertebreaker. I fucking love this spot, but it wasn't as convincing as like other Vertebreakers that I've seen. Next is the Dude Buster on the apron. And then top spot is the snowplow followed by Jordynne Grace's leg under the rope. Fucking great spot and a great match. So yeah, after this is the main event. We have Josh Alexander versus Eddie Edwards for the Impact World Heavyweight Championship. So we start off with an awesome video package that tells us like the story of the match. It tells us all we need to know about the feud. And I think every pay-per-view main event from any company should have this. They have this in Japan. They had this back in the Attitude Era. And they should have this in All Elite Wrestling. Yeah, more people should do this shit. And like DDT and Noah have this down already. So they start with like standard lockups. But they do something really cool. When Josh Alexander like gets challenged to run the ropes, but Eddie Edwards runs like at the same time and then kicks the ropes, preventing a rebound from Alexander. So this just pisses him off. This is such a troll move and it popped me. But yeah, this starting phase of the match where they lock up lasts for about 5 minutes. And we move on from this part with like a boot from Eddie Edwards to Josh Alexander, who's like on the outside apron, and he gets booted off the apron. And not to be outdone, Josh Alexander crossbodies Eddie also from the apron as well. But they do a lot of outside dives at like the start. Next 5 minutes is the entry and the exit to the ring. We get like a Chekhov moment when Eddie Edwards removes the like padding on the floor. It exposes Wood, and then we get an awesome spot where Alexander tries to German suplex him. Since they somehow find themselves on the apron, they go for like a fake out German suplex spot, but then Eddie Edwards escapes and fisherman suplexes Josh Alexander on the floor. And then I like this thing that Eddie Edwards does. He like goes for a pin, but then when Alexander kicks out, it's like straight into a single leg crab. Because the pin position is still like shoulders down, but in a like single leg crab position. So you can follow this up right away. And I love moves like this. It reminds me of like Daisuke Sasaki's crossfaces. But then we get the phase of the match where everything is just bombs. Since the next big thing is like a triple German suplex starting in the ring. So 2 in the ring, 1 on the apron. But he goes for more. Alexander then brings Eddie Edwards down, delivers 1 on the floor and then 1 on the ramp. And then Alexander just doesn't let up, follows it up with like a powerbomb backbreaker. And I think Eddie Edwards' selling was too subtle. He needed to like grab the back more, yell a bit more, pretend you can't stand straight. We just needed more pronounced selling during this part. And some selling on offense as well. Because he still manages to do like a Blue Thunder bomb for the near fall on Alexander. Edwards should have had more trouble doing this. And this match, just like Takeshita versus Higuchi, had no wasted motion. It's a match of the year candidate, just like that one. But it just doesn't have like the big storytelling moments that Higuchi has in that one. Here it's just like an escalation of moves, which there's nothing wrong with. But if you can include some storytelling moments in your big moves, that would be a lot better. Because like in that one, we had the spot where Konosuke like pulls Higuchi's head onto the post. We needed something like that for this one. We do get some like callbacks to former Impact legends like AJ Styles. Eddie sets up for a Boston Knee Party, but he gets Styles clashed for his trouble. And then a part I didn't like was this oversell. When Alexander goes for an ankle lock, Edwards then goes for like the counter where he like pushes Alexander out. No. He pulls him towards like in front of Edwards, and then Alexander's supposed to be launched out, but he's launched out too hard. Like it doesn't look like the power that Eddie put into that could propel Alexander forward. Might be the worst part of the match, but it's just like so small. And it doesn't take away from like all of the match being a match of the year candidate. This looked like when Claudio like does a flip, lands on his feet and then stops, and then runs to Aubrey Edwards, who looks away, and then Claudio gets low blowed. This moment was kind of like that. And then we have a moment that all the old heads are gonna hate. And I think this one is a bit too much too, because Eddie Edwards hits like an avalanche fisherman suplex. He then goes for like a pile driver, I think. But then Alexander counters, hits him with a C4. This is pretty much no selling, like a devastating move, right? But I like how it's just a burst of adrenaline, and then Alexander sells as he goes for the pin. Match should be over, but Honor No More pull the ref out. And then Kenny King low blows Alexander. Edwards goes for a Boston Knee Party, pin, near fall, kick out. And I'm guessing that Kreutzrath, or like maybe a Kreutzrath driver, is Eddie Edwards' like ultimate finisher. And I like how they protect it here, because he never manages to like do it. He doesn't even get him up for like a cross-legged fisherman driver. He tries a lot, but Alexander just kept avoiding. He kept being slippery. And then we get an awesome spot where Alexander catches Eddie's leg from the top turnbuckle, and then he like does an ankle lock from here. It's a sick visual, but that's pretty much it. It looked very, very cool. But of course, he has to let go before 5 seconds. Eddie Edwards backs up. Alexander goes for a dive, but then he gets kneed in the face. And this causes his nose to bleed. This match is fucking amazing. Again, there's just so much going on. There's no wasted motion. And everything feels like heavy. But selling is just a little bit inconsistent. I would have appreciated like more back selling from Edwards. And also maybe the leg. It doesn't need to be as anal as like an Anthony Bowens or a Hangman Page or a Kaito Kiyomiya, but it's alright. And then for the finish, they go for a strike battle. It's really intense. It starts off even, but Alexander cold cocks Eddie twice and then delivers a C4 for the win, match of the year candidate. Wow. I did not expect this from Impact, but this was some next level shit, and it's right there with Takeshita versus Higuchi, Sheamus versus Gunther, and FTR versus the Briscoes from Ring of Honor / AEW. So for the top 3 spots, number 3 is the leg catch ankle lock from the top turnbuckle. Number 2 is the fisherman suplex countered into a C4. And number 1 is the 5 German suplexes done in different places. So 2 in the ring, 1 on the apron, 1 on the floor, and then 1 on the ramp. So for the post-match, Alexander is attacked by Honor No More. Heath and Swan fail to save him, but then Bully Ray shows up, and then like Honor No More set a table for him, but instead Bully swerves and then saves Alexander, setting up the match between the both of them since Bully Ray won the gauntlet, like their rumble. And then the show closes with Bully just trash talking Alexander. So yeah, this was a great fucking show. This might be the best pay-per-view that Impact has had. It's so much better than Emergence, than Ric Flair's last match, and then the previous one that I forgot the name of. Slammiversary, I think. And I think this pay-per-view blows out Marky D's opinion on Impact. He's just a fucking nostalgia fan who wants to bring back all the old stuff. Josh Alexander is a main eventer and he just proved it right here. So yeah, these are my match rankings. I still won't watch Impact weekly though. I'm AEW through and through, and I only review weekly shows of that. As for the other wrestling companies, just the big shows. So yeah, thank you for watching. I might do a review of like Tokyo Joshi Pro, Pro Wrestling Noah, or DDT next. Most likely the DDT show with Harimau against Damnation. It looks like a one-match show, but like we'll see. I'm not gonna judge until I watch the show. So yeah, like, comment, and subscribe for engagement. Share if you do not know me, hit that bell notification for future videos, and please, watch my shit.